General Hospital spoilers tease that the situation involving Danny, Drew, and Scout escalates into a life-changing tragedy that touches the hearts of everyone in the Spencer family, as well as their loved ones in Port Charles. It all begins with Drew's controversial decision to move Scout to Washington, D.C., a move that goes against what Scout wants and what Danny believes is best for his sister. For Scout, the idea of leaving Port Charles is not just about geographical relocation, it's about tearing apart the emotional ties that bind her to the place she grew up. Her heart is torn between the only home she's known and the cold, unfamiliar world of Washington. What makes it worse is the thought of leaving her mother's grave behind. Sam's passing has left a deep, irreplaceable hole in Scout's heart, and to her, Port Charles is where Sam lives on, both in spirit and in the memories that surround the town. As a young girl, Scout is not capable of fully understanding the adult decisions being made on her behalf. All she knows is that her family, her mother's memory, and everything she holds dear are tied to Port Charles. The idea of uprooting her life and being thrust into a strange place without the comforting presence of her mother's grave seems like an unbearable loss. Danny sees this pain in his sister's eyes and knows that he must act quickly to protect her from the emotional turmoil she is facing. He reassures her that everything will be okay, but deep down, Danny knows that the situation is out of his hands. He cannot control what Drew decides, but his love for his sister blinds him to any other possible solution. As Drew makes plans for the move to D.C., Danny becomes more frustrated. He feels like a failure, watching his sister suffer in silence while Drew pushes forward with his plans. Danny's feelings of powerlessness turn into anger. The family dynamics, which had always been complex but stable, begin to fracture. Danny, though still a teenager, is at a crossroads. He is caught between his youthful need to protect his sister and the overwhelming reality that sometimes adults make decisions that affect children in ways they cannot understand. His emotions grow more intense with each passing day, and he becomes more determined to fight for what he believes is right. The critical moment comes when Danny decides he cannot take it any longer. He is convinced that if he doesn't do something drastic, his sister will be torn away from him and the life they've known together. He confronts Drew with his fists clenched, his emotions bubbling over. Drew, ever the reasonable and calm adult, tries to talk sense into Danny, explaining that as Scout's father, he has the final say in the matter. Drew insists that the move to D.C. is in Scout's best interest, that it offers a chance for a fresh start and a new life away from the painful reminders of her mother's death. But Danny, filled with rage and a deep sense of betrayal, can't listen to reason. To him, Drew is not just making a decision for Scout, he is breaking apart their family, taking away everything Scout holds dear. The emotional clash between the two men is intense. Words are exchanged, tempers flare, and the conflict escalates quickly. Danny feels like Drew is dismissing his feelings, and he lashes out. His anger becomes uncontrollable as the situation spirals out of control. He strikes Drew in a moment of sheer rage, hitting him harder than he ever intended. Drew, taken completely off guard, falls to the ground, his head hitting the floor with a sickening thud. In an instant, the man who once seemed invincible lies unconscious, and Danny stands over him, horrified by what he has just done. The gravity of the situation crashes down on Danny like a ton of bricks. He's just attacked a man who is not only his friend, but also a father figure to him. Drew is unconscious and blood pools around him. Danny panics, his mind racing with fear and guilt. What if Drew doesn't wake up? What if he has seriously hurt him? His first instinct is to call his father, Jason, knowing that Jason is the one person who will always have his back, no matter the situation. Danny's call for help is desperate, filled with a mix of panic and regret. He needs his father, and he needs him now. Jason arrives on the scene quickly, his sharp instincts kicking in as soon as he sees the severity of the situation. He assesses Drew's condition, his years of experience in dealing with high-stakes situations helping him stay calm in the face of chaos. Jason's first priority is ensuring that Drew is stable, but as he does, his mind is already working through the consequences of Danny's actions. Jason's fatherly instinct kicks in. He knows that his son has made a terrible mistake, one that could change everything for him. Jason's thoughts immediately turn to how to protect Danny from the consequences of this outburst. In the midst of all this, Danny is beside himself with guilt. He can't believe what he's done, and the weight of his actions is almost too much to bear. He's a young man caught in an emotional storm, and his inability to control his anger has led to an irreversible situation. Jason does his best to calm Danny down, but the damage is done. Jason realizes that the only way to protect his son is to take the blame for the attack on Drew. If the truth comes out and Danny is arrested or worse, charged with attempted murder, it could destroy his future. Jason's decision is swift and selfless. He knows that the only way to shield Danny from the consequences of his rash behavior is to take responsibility for what happened. Jason orders Danny to leave the scene and to go somewhere safe, away from the police. He will face the authorities alone and take the fall for the crime, knowing that the truth about Danny's involvement will remain hidden as long as Drew does not wake up. If Drew remains unconscious, the attack may never be fully investigated, and Jason's sacrifice will protect his son from the harshest penalties. As the police arrive and begin questioning Jason, he maintains his composure and sticks to the story he has fabricated. He admits to attacking Drew, offering no explanation other than that he was overcome by emotion and acted without thinking. The authorities take Jason into custody, and the weight of his decision presses heavily on him. He knows that he may face jail time for his actions, but he is willing to sacrifice everything to protect Danny. With Jason in jail, the Spencer family's world begins to unravel. The loss of their patriarch to the legal system is a devastating blow, but the uncertainty surrounding Drew's recovery casts a long shadow over everything. If Drew survives, he will wake up to a world where his relationship with Danny is forever tainted by this violent act. But if Drew doesn't make it, the truth may never be known, and Jason's selfless sacrifice will keep Danny safe, at least for now. In the midst of all this turmoil, the Spencer family is left to pick up the pieces. The emotional scars from Danny's impulsive decision and Jason's sacrifice will leave lasting effects on everyone involved. Danny will have to come to terms with what he's done, and Jason will have to live with the consequences of his choices. No matter the outcome, their lives will never be the same again. The fate of the Spencer family hinges on the uncertain future of Drew, and the decisions made in this pivotal moment will echo through their lives for years to come.